Obesity is in part a disease of affluence and better living conditions. By calling it a disease, which is how it's labelled in fact in the US and Canada, we're giving it prominence as requiring medical management and attention. Though of course there are many environmental, psychological and biological factors that affect obesity. In general terms, what seems to be happening is that while our genes haven't changed, there have been enormous changes to our environment. We're affluent, there's more food available, we do less activity. The food industry's also changed, what we buy, how big the portions are, and we're more protective of our children, we don't let them walk or cycle to school. It's important to note that obesity is not defined by weight, but by fatness, or what we call adiposity. A surrogate measure for obesity is the body mass index, which is the weight, total weight, so muscle, fat, bone, in kilograms divided by height in metres squared. In Caucasians, we define a BMI of over 25 as overweight and above 30 as obese, but there are different cutoffs for different ethnicities. So for example, in Asian people, the cutoffs are lower, but as the BMI goes up, the risk of comorbidity increases. Central obesity, which is obesity in the belly, is a major risk factor for obesity-related disease, and this is the typical apple-shaped woman or the man with the beer gut. Adipocytes in the abdominal region are very active in producing hormones, cytokines and other factors that can result in insulin resistance, inflammation and ultimately disease, particularly metabolic disorders such as type 2 diabetes and heart disease. Throughout the developed and developing world, overweight and obesity is becoming the norm. For each survey worldwide, there's been an increase in obesity in every age group. In some countries, 30% of the middle-aged population is obese. Moreover, overweight people are going further up the obesity scale, that is, at the more extreme levels of obesity. And the alarming trend is that it's not the middle-aged or elderly, but the young adults who are gaining weight the fastest, and faster than the generation before. This, of course, presents a problem when today's young adults become middle-aged, as they will be carrying the burden of disease for a lot longer. In school kids, there's possibly been a plateau since 2010, but still 1 in 4 school children is overweight or obese. And for example, in Australia, obesity rates have increased by 28% from 1996 to 2012. So why should we worry about our growing girths? Well, there are serious health risks that accompany obesity. It's often a precursor to type 2 diabetes and heart disease. It can also lead to hypertension, a number of cancers including breast and bowel cancer, osteoarthritis and infertility. For example, the average BMI for a woman who's seeking IVF treatment for infertility is 32, which is in the obese category. And we know that if they were able to just lose 6 kilograms in body fat, their fertility would be increased 15-fold. The other non-health risk is that, like any disease, obesity costs, and we haven't done anything about this so far. For example, the cost of direct healthcare in Australia has been shown to go up from $1,500 to $2,800 for obesity-related disease. On the other hand, those who managed to lose weight showed decreased health costs. Given these risks, should we be making people lose weight, and if so, how much? Well, that depends on what we want to achieve. The risk of death or vascular events decreases for those over 55 who've had diabetes or cardiovascular disease who have lost weight. To achieve health-related outcomes, for every kilo lost, there's a 6% reduction in the incidence of death or vascular disease and a 6% reduction in rates of death from any cause. So if an obese person loses 3 kilograms, there's almost a 20% reduction in outcome events. Small amounts of weight loss are effective. Interestingly, a British study from 1946 showed that even if obese people regained weight they'd lost earlier, they still had significantly changed carotid artery thickness. It was now less thick, and reducing carotid thickness reduces the risk of heart disease. To achieve economic outcomes, a UK weight loss program found that even an average weight loss of 2 to 3 kilograms reduced by about 10% the drugs obese patients were prescribed, and this translated to £1.55 billion. Now that is a significant health cost reduction. So serious attempts to lose weight do have long-term benefits. Now, given that small weight losses can be very effective in terms of health outcomes, how should we proceed with weight loss programs and which are effective? Firstly, people need to set realistic goals. Realise that weight loss will be modest. They won't get dramatic losses, but if they don't gain weight, there's a real positive. Secondly, sticking to a diet is far more important than the type of diet itself. It's worth starting from the diet that the person's used to. For example, there's no point asking an older Asian woman to start eating a Mediterranean diet with lots of olive oil and salads if that's not what she's used to. Make small changes, possibly increase protein, reduce fats, particularly saturated, increase monounsaturated fats, increase fibre and fresh food. There's no magic diet, but what's important is sticking to it long term and also eating smaller portion sizes. Thirdly, diets do work, but they need to be simple. And of course, exercise is also very important for good health and weight maintenance. Diets will produce a 5 to 6% reduction in weight. And the good thing is that even if you start to regain the weight, you still get metabolic benefit. So in the end, prevention is better than cure, yet we're only just starting to tackle obesity prevention, for example, with large-scale childhood interventions. And our health system is still failing to target or treat obesity effectively. In conclusion, we're very good at managing the risk factors for diabetes and cardiovascular disease, but we're not yet good at managing the risks associated with obesity.